Hell yeah. Welcome back, Zach.
Yeah, happy 2021.
Heck yeah, man. It is January 3rd, 2021.
Yeah, wow.
We're in our new digs, dude.
Yeah, we are. Love it.
It's I think we've got a vision. It's cool. I think we and for people watching, you'll see this thing transform. So it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say for this week, Zach, we'll have it coming out. We did our interview with Mike and Marin Bingle Davis.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yes.
We did it in your family's basement. But they were great. They were awesome. I really want to have them on again.
Yeah.
They both are super knowledgeable in regards to geology and I mean, geology here mostly is like energy, but they definitely brought up some other things that were like, oh shoot, like I didn't even think of that. So
people say like rocks for jocks, but I mean, I learned a ton. I mean, that was I think you said it in the interview, like you felt like you were the dumbest person in the conversation. I definitely felt the same way too. So yeah, it was really fascinating.
Yeah, it was great. So be on the lookout for that. And then we just did an interview with Asia Stockwell with Maven Bodyworks, just actually across the street from us. She was wonderful. I think I learned a little bit too about kind of what they offer outside of just massage and cupping.
Right.
I thought it was funny. We like one of the girls does like the OG cupping is what Asia said, like the Karate Kid. Anyways, that was cool. That was awesome. She was wonderful. So that'll be coming out as well this week. But other than that, Zach, let's get to a couple of our sponsors.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Jess Hattervig of ERA Carroll Realty. Are you looking to buy, sell, or build a house here in Sheridan? Make sure you have an expert realtor right now, especially with this crazy housing market that we're having. You want to have a good realtor knowing what they're doing and finding you the right property. Give Jess a call at the ERA office, 307-672-8911.
Awesome. And our other sponsor for today is Sheridan County Title. Sheridan County Title provides great service at a lower cost. They've been protecting your property rights for over 50 years. If you have any questions on your property or if you are looking to refinance, have Sheridan County Title help you today. And they can be found on South Main.
Yep, just call Sasha.
Yes. And our another sponsor is DYT Solutions, offering custom web design and digital marketing services for your company and brand.
Wonderful. And our last one, this is brought to you by Alphagraphics of Sheridan. Every business needs some form of printing services, large format, color, digital printing. Zach, we've got stickers. I've done business letterhead for my oil and gas business. They also have a team that can help you with any sort of web design, social media, direct mail. I mean, they're crazy this fall with all the political campaigns. Give them a call. They are also on Main Street, 307-674-6277.
Yes.
Let's get into our segments.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. This Roadcaster board is freaking awesome.
It's pretty sweet.
Well, man, all right. January 3rd, it's a Sunday. Yep. We kind of took a break there, which is fine actually. It was kind of nice to kind of just let some things settle, and we are able to kind of revisit some stuff.
Yep.
So this is our Sheridan County and Johnson County news. To be real honest, we're going to focus a lot on Sheridan right now, just because we didn't really look for anything in Johnson County. One thing I want to start off right off the bat, Zach, is right off Swaim Road. So this is kind of south of town. Mm-hmm. So Sheridan Solar, who is, I couldn't tell from the article if they're partners with SunSource LLC or like, is that a partner? Like, so anyways, kind of doing some we'll probably do some digging there on how that partnership is working.
Yeah.
But anyways, they have proposed to the county to build they said a 90,000 array system, which I'm kind of like, well, how many panels is that? Don't tell me the
Right.
array, anyways, like, cause they could have done it in watts, and it's like, it would be like 1,000,000 watts. And I'm like, okay, but everything's in anyway. So
Yeah.
really annoyed to kind of like, really like that. Anyways,
Yeah.
big thing though, sorry, kind of getting a little off track. Their first meeting with the county planning commission is going to be the 7th. So that's coming up.
Yep.
So make sure we're kind of staying on top of that, seeing what those meeting notes and things are like. And then they have a second meeting on the 19th. So nothing's going to happen, in a month.
Right.
So, and we know Tom Kelly, he's on that planning zoning commission, I'm pretty sure. So we might try and get him on and pick his brain a little bit.
Right.
So the Sheridan Press, they had a good article. It was very, very informative. Anyways, I was going to say something, but one thing that they kind of just breezed over, and I was kind of like, I don't think you can just breeze over these issues. And the main issues that the planning commission's going to address to these companies are who's paying for the connection to MDU.
Yep.
Okay, MDU is our big utility provider. Okay, if a home wants to connect, like a private owner,
Yep.
who's paying for that? Which I would assume the private owner, but still, it's kind of like, if you force somebody out there, this is why, again, our sponsors are a title company and a realtor. You need to know, like, how am I getting my power? We had this issue in Manchester.
Yep.
That could be something in this area. I mean, there's a lot of development going on. Anyway, so this is why we need to know who's on our planning committee, because it's like, what if someone's locked in and it's like, oh, you have to get it from this solar company.
Right.
So we need to know who pays for that. Who pays for emergencies? If there is an emergency, a fire or something goes down on that property, who pays for that?
Yeah. Is it us, the taxpayers?
Yep. Or MDU.
Right.
Or, so, I mean, there's, or lack of power, so what's the agreement with MDU? If MDU's like, hey, you're not producing any power, these people don't get power. Like, see, so anyways, and then like access roads, again, that's maintenance. Who's paying for that? And so anyways, the article kind of just breezed over that as a concern.
Right.
And I was like, that's a big concern. Now, again, this will be their first meeting on the 7th. So they there's probably gonna be a lot that goes into it.
More info to come, I'm sure.
Yeah. I did some little math here, Zach, you can see in our notes. So this would be a 20 megawatt facility, and that's a year on a good year.
Okay.
I did the math because I'm like, there's no way it's not 20 like a day and it's not 20 a month. I was like, okay, it has to be 20 megawatts a year then.
Right.
And I was trying to find, it's really hard to find, Zach, like the estimation of how much that is. Which is weird, right? Because we can figure out like what natural gas is or like coal.
Right.
But there's so much federal subsidies that every website I was going to, they're like, well, you got to, take the taxes out. And I'm like, okay, well,
right.
I get it, but it's like, yeah, but that's a subsidy that somebody's, the federal government's giving to these companies. Anyways,
I do see though that in the article, 1 megawatt will power approximately 146 homes in Wyoming. They go on to say, but
sure.
So this proposed project could power nearly 3,000 homes.
And that's I did some math, and that's about right, because a house would take 30 kilowatt hours a day. Okay. So that's rough. That's about right.
Yeah.
Give or take. I mean, obviously in the winter we're going to use more.
Right.
So one thing I found from Energy Sage, this was the website. So for a 10 kilowatt hour system, and that must be a per day system.
Okay.
So I just said the average household uses 30. So this system's, so unless you're doing less than the average, or you've got some other, you've got some other power.
Right.
Anyways, that system costs about $30,000. Okay. I think it's obviously lower, but that's still expensive, and you're not meeting your average. So just throwing that into perspective there. My last thing, Zach, is you've got the article pulled up. One of the county commissioners, or maybe chairmen, women, I don't know if she is a county commissioner.
Yeah. You're talking about Christy?
Yeah.
Haswell. Yeah. County commissioner.
Okay. She is a county commissioner. So she made a statement without even having any meetings with these people that the county's going to have to consider growing their staff and growing their departments.
Interesting.
And I'm a little concerned. Again, this is one of those, like, we kind of just breezed over that. And I was like, hold on. I was like, we haven't even met with them. We don't even know if this is going to work. Like, she even says, like, we're going to have to do wildlife studies. And I'm like, well, time out, but you're thinking about hiring more people?
Right.
No. Like, what? Do you not know that we're in a budget deficit?
Yeah.
And who knows? I'll defend her here. Like, maybe that was taken out of context, how the quotes are written out.
Yep.
But y'all better be paying attention. It's happening.
Yep.
This project's not even in. No property taxes have been made from this project, and we've got government officials saying we got to grow the government.
Yep.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? And there's no. She didn't say why. She just said because we're getting busy, and I'm like, okay, great.
Right.
Like, wow, way to complain about that.
Yeah.
When people have no jobs. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're gonna keep our eye on it. Who knows? This company, maybe they've got big backing. They've got money, and maybe MDUs. Which MDUs got to get pushed anyways to do this kind of crap. But
right.
My big thing is who's paying for what.
Yeah.
Is the county gonna have to pay? And here's the thing: if people are like, "Oh, it's fine, the county will pay for it," it's like, no, then that means the taxpayers are paying for it.
Yeah.
Are you missing that step? Like, so anyways,
I think another interesting thing to keep in mind with this is, I think I sent you the article a couple days ago. Wyoming is looking at removing that tax exempt status for solar and wind. So it'd be interesting to see how that impacts this project. And
that's what I mean. Like, she's jumping, and I'm like. Again, like, if it works out money wise, go for this plan. If we figure out who pays for emergencies and stuff, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the state's going to look at take away that 3-year tax exemption. Then yes, we're making tax revenues, and then I'm okay maybe getting one person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, and we're going to talk about that in the state section for sure. So, it's interesting. It's coming. I'm just curious. I want to know more, like, how many panels is it? Who's going to actually take over this thing, right? Because you got to connect it to MDU. I mean, you have to connect it to the grid.
Right.
So, MDU is not going to do anything for free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
right.
They're a business.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're going to see because like you said, Christy mentions there's a lot of work that has to be done with the state to, environmental stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of red tape that's going to be, wrapped around this project for a while.
And subsidies. The state gives subsidies. So that's another, the state has no money, so they can't give subsidies. Right. Yeah. So,
so I don't expect this to be built this summer.
No, definitely not. Anyways, I wanted to come back to this, Zach, and I want to get Travis on, but Travis is the police chief.
Yep.
Just if anyone missed that.
I think we mentioned it a little bit a couple weeks ago, but he is now officially.
So, and he made a comment, I believe, in regards to, like, him and Tom Ringley at the time made great comments in regards to how they would handle any sort of mask related disturbances. Which was, I would say, very tongue-in-cheek of, if a business calls us and wants us to remove somebody, we absolutely can. Yeah. Because they're trespassing. Then they were kind of like, outside of that, which was kind of everybody's, comment. So anyways, would love to get him on. Travis, if you're listening, come on the show.
Yes.
You've got more time now. Police chief. No, just kidding. Zach, you were the one that sent me this. A while back. We talked about this too before the end of the year.
Yes.
And I ran into somebody, and so my comment there. So Sheridan County School District 2 here was donated the Holly Seed property. Everyone knows what we're talking about. It's that Holly Seed plant right in front of the high school. Yep. It was donated through the Scott Foundation, which is great. Yep. So that's, nothing. The school district didn't have to, no skin in the game for it.
Right.
What a wonderful donation. I will say, somebody brought this up. Hey, that's great. That's awesome. We've got great families here. We've got great organizations that will help, the community. I mean, this will be great for the community. But we were talking about kind of the state and how much the state gives to the university and school districts for buildings. Yep. This is outside the budget. It's like for buildings.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, what are we going to do with this property now? Because there's not going to be any funds to do anything to it. And I was like, oh, that's a good point. So
Yeah.
it's probably going to sit there for at least a year.
Oh yeah. I mean, it could. I mean, I think too, when we built the new locker room addition, there was a lot of fundraising that had to go into that too.
Yep.
It wasn't all just state money going into it. So I expect to see another sort of fundraiser campaign coming up. We have no idea what that land's going to be used for. All we know is that it's there and ready to be used. So, I mean, it could sit there, until there's a need for it. It's purchased by the school. So, it could sit there.
And really, I know some people are like, it's kind of poor timing in regards to nothing's going to happen, but I'm like, but it could be a great time by the Scott Foundation to have purchased it for the school district, because Sheridan is growing. The state has this budget deficit. Who knows? Maybe the school, needs to either grow the parking lot, or I know there's always been talk about move the swimming pools back up there, indoor tennis.
Sure.
I mean, there could be, and then people are going to be like, oh, athletics. But it's like, well, but you move that stuff out of the high school, you've got more room for the other stuff. So, anyway, so it was a fascinating idea that they're like, well, it's kind of poor timing in regards to, there might not be any state funds, which is fine, but it has to be a community effort for whatever the plan is.
Right. Yeah. And I would say, like you said, I think that we're looking into the future a little bit and getting ready. We don't want somebody else to come in and buy that and then we're stuck, where we're forced to maybe build another high school. We can, if it needs to be, there's an expansion to the high school. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You want to talk about this one? I didn't read this one. I'll have to pull it up while you talk about it.
Yes. To be fair, I just saw the headline
Oh.
in the paper the other day, but this has kind of become a regular topic on the show, this idea of legalizing marijuana. And it's very taboo in Sheridan, very kind of hush hush. But it looks like there's kind of a,
well, this article looks like they're just relaying back to
the election. So again, if people aren't aware, in the election, South Dakota and Montana voted to legalize recreational marijuana. And so you and I have talked about this. Wyoming's now surrounded by states who have recreational marijuana use, and it creates a lot of problems, honestly, not just for the state of Wyoming, but just on a national scale, honestly. Since marijuana is a Schedule I drug on the Federal Register, banks cannot accept money from dispensaries. So these businesses and dispensaries in Colorado and South Dakota and Montana are going to have to basically they take that cash and just stick it under the mattress. Like that's what they have to do. Or they go to Bitcoin and convert it to Bitcoin so that they can circulate that money.
Yep.
If, just looking big picture, if that never is, marijuana is never decriminalized, right? Doesn't mean legalized, but just decriminalized. You're still gonna have that complication with banks and these businesses.
Right.
This goes into another whole conversation about cryptocurrencies. We've talked about Kraken coming here, and there's another one coming here.
Yep.
So I think this is just kind of telling people, look, they're kind of just, here's what's out there. Here's what's happening. Let's see. They do quote Travis, drug trafficking. He doesn't expect it to increase on the interstates. He just says it's more likely people from Sheridan are going to be going up to Billings or, whatever to get their marijuana. Mm-hmm. And they'll be caught in their, home county. So what else do they talk about here? They mentioned 3/4 of Wyoming residents believe people convicted of possessing small amounts of marijuana should not serve time in jail. This is from the University of Wyoming. This has increased from 69% in 2018 to what now though?
Well, and we're going to talk about this in the state one. I think the study's a little misleading because it's only 600 respondents.
Sure.
So it's like, well, there's obviously more than 600 people in the state of Wyoming. So, and I think that's a very wide question, like it doesn't specify like the amount, like if it's tons and tons and tons, I think like, no, that's illegal. Like, right. I don't like, I don't know. It's what a weird topic and what a weird, idea. I think Travis's statement is pretty good in regards to like, look, like, which is something we've talked about is like this, studying it. Like we don't know a whole lot about it, and it's kind of sad. And it's kind of like, maybe we need to start thinking about it. I mean, because like he said alcohol was, there was prohibition. I mean, there was,
and he goes on to mention, just kind of with that mentality, if he had been born in that era, and seeing it, he maybe, he puts alcohol in the same position as marijuana today.
Absolutely,
and he considers, well, I don't know, I can't necessarily say, but it would be the similar situation that we have now.
Yep.
And so he mentioned something else too, which I think we can all agree with, is that we don't like seeing substances that can chemically alter you, and having those being abused. And I think everybody's on board with that.
Yep. And I think the question that no one's asking is, what's the best way as a society to protect youth first off? Because we all know any substance, pretty much till like you're 21, your mid 20s. Yeah. If you used it before, it's going to affect you. And I think that's what he's getting at, is like, look, like, obviously we don't want alcohol abused, we don't want any other substances abused. And so that's where he's kind of like this, in that sense, marijuana is kind of in that bubble, where it's like, well, so anyways, it's,
and I think, how do you counteract that? Is education. How do you prevent people from abusing these things? It's, we can talk about the Second Amendment too, and guns.
Yep.
We grew up in a culture where a gun isn't a toy, it's a tool.
Yep.
And so you learn from a very, very young age that that's something that's to be respected. It needs to be taken care of properly. There's a certain way of handling it.
Yep.
And there's a certain use for it, and so I think you come at this with a similar mindset, and then you kind of start to break down some of those walls to this, and people, don't take it for granted, I guess.
Absolutely. So. You bring up a great point. I read Malcolm Gladwell's Talking with Strangers, and he talks about there's a study down in South America. I can't remember the country, but they're in a secluded village, and a couple psychologists, and the town would do a weird ritual every weekend. Everyone in town would get just hammered. But then throughout the rest of the week, nothing, not a drop.
Huh.
And it was funny because then like the one guy came home and like somebody gave him a drink, and like his tolerance was like insane. Right. I think, I can't remember if it was insane or like really, really low.
Really low. Yeah.
And he's like, this doesn't make any sense. He's like, cause we did this every weekend. Yeah. And I mean, he's like we went like they go bananas.
Yeah.
And that's what you just brought up is like culture, right? That culture, they had no, abuse problems with alcohol. Yep. They had some other like weird health anomalies that were like, this doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. And then they had some other cultural things too, because how they did the parties was like, it was like a community. Anyways, that kind of brings up what you're talking about is like education,
right?
Because then no one else, they didn't drink, they didn't celebrate any, like they're, so anyways, I mean, that it's a good point. Like it's all about education and culture and like what are you using that substance for?
Right. Right.
I will say, I want to say this. We were the first ones that kind of like talked about this subject. So I'm just saying. We do it first.
Trendsetters.
That Cuban coffee. That's interesting. This article here regarding that proposed bill to cut. Now, the article, I was reading it, Zach, and I think this is where, we're going to have Bo Beitman on Thursday.
Yep.
And this is where people need to understand, like, how this proposed bill is cutting down the $100 million. Some people are going to come out and say, oh, they're just cutting it straight out, like just 100 across the board.
Yeah.
It's like, no. What they're doing is they're looking at kind of the number of kids, because that's how we break it down is per kid gets a certain amount and then it goes to the school districts. Okay. Which I think hopefully everyone understands that's how we do it here.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how almost everyone does it.
Most. Yeah.
So this proposed bill would cut that down. Yep. Right. I mean,
because I think it's changing the way you determine how much each student is receiving.
Worth. Yep. Or whatever. Yeah. Not worth, but receiving.
Right.
So, and here's the thing: is there's no there's not going to be a cookie cutter way to do this, right? I mean, this article brings up, the smaller school districts are going to be hurt the worst, right? Because they're probably going to have the smaller population of kids, which is like, well, I mean, don't report an obvious fact, in math, and that's all I got to say about it. I mean, I don't think this is probably I don't know. I will say Wyoming, we have paid the most per kid for like the last 10 years and they have not seen any sort of statistical correlation to. Now, I don't agree with Common Core, so I disagree with like we're going to go based off test scores. But over the last 10 years, we've increased money to each kid every year and have seen no increase in the test scores. So I think at some point we have to say, and I think this is kind of what this congressman is saying, is like, we got to stop this madness because that's not making sense. Why increase the number per kid when that's not correlating to their test scores? Now, Zach, as an educator, I think you and I probably agree that Common Core is probably not the best thing to be going off of anymore. But anyways, what's your take on it? And you're the one that sent this in, and we'll probably talk about this in state too. But this was by the Sheridan Press, so. Right?
And I do want to make sure we ask Bo about this specifically on Thursday. But It is interesting. I think I do not agree with it makes sense on paper, right, to pay
per kid
based off of test scores. Like that makes sense,
Yep.
But what happens is it changes the mindset of districts and schools and educators. And so you're not focused on teaching, really. It's preparing for the test. And I don't know how many multiple choice tests you and I have taken where you take them and then immediately after you forget everything that you just put on the page. You know, like even in college, there's some tests like that. I'm like, man, I don't remember anything about that class.
And I want to say here at Sheridan County, because we are, we'd have to find this, but I'm pretty sure Sheridan County School District 2 has ranked the highest, if not has been the highest consecutively here in the state. So it shows you can do it because we're above the state average. But I would say it's like, well, it's because look at who's our freaking superintendent. He's been here 20 years, Craig Doherty. And it's like, we've talked about this, it's going to be interesting to see who replaces him because he's done a great job when the whole state has been they've been declining. And Sheridan here is at least staying above average. I don't know if we've been like above and beyond, but you know what I mean?
But you're right. And other places, not just in Wyoming, Bozeman even is looking to Sheridan County and Sheridan County School District 2 as a model on how to build a successful culture around education. So, my problem isn't with the funding. It's with the mentality on how the funding is coming in.
You have to, again, every system looks great on paper.
Yeah.
But then you add humans into it and you're like, there, it gets all screwed up.
But this it wasn't passed, right? It was.
No, it went through
suggested.
It went through committee. I'm pretty sure it passed committee 9-2.
Okay.
For everyone out there, it still has to get passed through the legislative, Congress and Senate and then signed by the governor. I just want to make it clear that that's what they're doing. People are going to attack this and be like, oh, he's just cutting it straight up. It's like, no. We're decreasing the amount per kid.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Yeah, your last one here. How many did Sheridan get? I didn't even know.
What was this? Yeah, I don't know either. I just know that we got some vaccines. So, first COVID vaccines were administered in Sheridan right before Christmas. They went out to first responders.
40.
40 doctors and nurses at Sheridan Memorial Hospital.
Good.
Let's see, the remaining.
Oh, here's a list. I've never seen this before. Where'd this come from? This list of like prioritization?
Oh, I think this came from the Wyoming Department of Health. I saw something like that on Cowboy State Day. Finally, we're getting some sort of information from them.
Let's keep this up for the state stuff.
So priority number 1, hospital staff. Number 2, EMS personnel. So those are your,
first
ambulance drivers, first responders. Long-term care facility, assisted living, public health nursing, tribal public health, which, I guess that makes sense. The reservations were hit pretty hard. But anyway, and so then down, those are like your top 5.
I'm looking at the bottom here, number 17. We're still in healthcare facility staff.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, yeah, finally. This is, I don't know. I was going to make a joke and be like, I thought we beat it. That we're in 2021. I thought it was gone.
So the hospital received about 1,000 doses, expects another 250. So again, this was written, I think, right before Christmas. I think it was on December 24th.
Right.
So we probably have 1,250 tests that were sent to us by now. And this is interesting too. The vaccine is administered in 2 doses, so about a month apart. So you get 1 shot, you come back a month later, and I think then you start to like build up antibodies or something like that.
What happens if I don't get that second?
Right. What happens if you get COVID in between there? So I don't know.
What if I get the UK strain?
Right. Yeah.
Sorry. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
I want to make it clear, looking at the camera, it's a real virus. I'm not downplaying that, but if you don't see how that's funny, then you're living in fear. So that's fine.
So anyway, vaccines are here. They are.
It sounds like, so how that's set up, it sounds like the hospital will have a couple hundred available.
Yes.
Is what it's like. They keep a surplus of a couple hundred.
Right. And so I think if you fall into those first priorities, then you're going to get that. But you or I can go in there and get it.
I'm screwed.
So, but I think they're here. They're coming.
Yep.
Yay. I don't know. Can we move on?
Hey, to end this one out, Zach, I think our interview with Asia, because I don't know if we're just getting lucky with all the business owners we talk to, but it's my message here to end out is just attack, keep moving. Yep. Don't, if it's out of your, big old Coach Julian thing is control what you can control.
Yep.
Okay. I can't, you like you and I just said, you and I are not in the top 20 of priorities of getting the vaccine. Right. Okay. I'm not going to care. Yeah. I'm going to be like, you know what? Okay, whatever.
I keep on living.
Yeah. So that'd be my message to everyone is just keep on keeping on. Yep. Things are still happening, good things are still happening. I think I want to say, like the Scott Foundation donating the Holly Seed property. Stuff, good things are still happening.
Yes.
That's your Sheridan and Johnson County news. And welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Go Be Wyoming. I'm your host, Aaron Gray, sitting here with Zach Gale in our new studio.
Yep.
This is our state news. This is January 3rd, 2021. We're going to keep it nice and light.
Yes.
We've talked, we just did our local news, so there were a couple local stuff, that pertains to state stuff, so we'll kind of re-hit some things, but which is fine. First thing, I kind of want Zach's reaction here. after New Year's, like literally like Friday. It was the 2nd or the 1st, or I can't remember. Whatever.
I think I got this email last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Saturday.
Yeah.
So 2 days after the New Year.
Yeah.
The governor's office is like, okay, bars and restaurants, you're good.
You're good to go. Yeah,
and there was no, Zach, what's pissing me off is there's no numbers. Like, he's not basing it off numbers. Again, hey, Governor, just say you did it for the holidays.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Just man up and say what you're doing.
Right.
You want to punish businesses. You want to punish bars for staying open
during
too
the busiest
late.
time of the year.
During their busiest time of years, when all the college kids come home, people are visiting. You want to ruin those businesses' livelihoods because you're scared of the virus from 10 a.m. to midnight.
Right.
Just say that.
Yeah.
Don't lie to us and say it's numbers, especially when you do it 2 days after New. It's like, dude, I know what you're doing. Like, does he think we're idiots?
No.
I mean, he thinks we're knuckleheads.
Right.
I mean, anyways, ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, this show, our next thing is that endurance fund, the last bit of the COVID funds.
Yeah.
And I've talked to people that have family, that have businesses that tried to get this fund again. And one, they were pissed because he didn't give enough warning. He gave like a day, maybe day and a half of like, the date's going to be here. He only gave really 4 working days.
Yep.
5, but they're the state government. So it was like 4.
Yeah.
To get your application in. Not even half of the applicants got those COVID funds. So I don't know where those COVID funds are or if they went away.
Right.
So to me, I'm like, dude, like, I don't know. He's handled this poorly. I think, we can go back to his knucklehead speech. It's like, dude, instead of freaking scolding us, how about you were trying to set up these funds?
Right.
Because you guys were terrible at it.
Yeah. Yeah. So when he gave that press conference, that's back in November.
Yes.
So
early November.
Yeah. So that means you have a full 2 months, right? Because December 31st, you can't get those funds anymore.
Exactly.
That means you have a full 2 months to apply for those funds, distribute those funds.
Yep.
Yeah. And
he was sitting up there calling us knuckleheads. And then he didn't even do the bars and restaurant thing until right before Thanksgiving. Yeah. So it's like, this is what we were talking about is there were in his health director. I don't like her because she was never consistent in what she was directing him to do. Anyways, we're over it. I was really hoping the bars downtown were going to say middle finger to you. We're going to stay open to midnight, but responsible people that obey the law actually listen to the law. Yeah. It pisses me off sometimes, but it's like good for you because anyways, but ridiculous. Anyways, we're moving on because it's 2021. He's not going to get reelected. Prediction. Sorry.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you.
He better. I mean, God. Anyways, well, he's not even up. When's he up? 2022?
Yes.
Let's see. Yeah. No. Is it
next year?
Next year, or is this year?
It would be 2021. No. Sorry, you're right. 2020. What year is it?
he doesn't campaign this year.
Right.
It'd be next year
because it's the midterm election. Yeah. So 2022, fall of 2022. Yeah.
We should ask Bo, how do you petition a governor out? Kanye. Yeah. Kanye.
That would be insane. I'm
going to write Kanye a letter. Do you know how awesome that would be?
That'd be pretty.
How about a Foster Freeze?
There we go. That'd be a good matchup.
How about they be a dual ticket?
Yeah.
They split the duties. Okay. Anyways, got a little sidetrack there. I can't remember where I found this. It was either Niobrara County or Crook County.
Okay.
They're on the eastern side of the state, Zach.
Yeah.
That's like Lusk, like Torrington.
Yeah.
Or sorry, I don't think Torrington's in those. Lusk, Newcastle.
Right.
I mean, it's a little too late on this, but they won an appeal against the state in regards to the mask mandate and kind of like we talked about the bars and restaurants.
Yep.
Anyways, this county won. They're like, dude, we don't have enough people for this to make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta have some of our businesses open. And they won. This should have happened a long time ago.
Yep.
I really think the county should have just middle fingered the governor and said, you come down here and
right.
I don't know. I mean,
you can block the doors.
Whatever, they appealed in one. Anyways. I feel really heated about this, and we're definitely going to ask Bo about this some more. No one knows when the legislative session is going to happen.
Yep. Yeah,
And we're January 3rd. Numbers are going down. The governor has, and who knows? God, we're recording this on Sunday.
Yeah.
They might come out, Monday, and they've got a date, whatever.
Sure.
But I think they should have been going right now, tomorrow. I think they should have started on the 4th. There's no reason to be delayed, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if bars and restaurants can open back up. Why can't we have session?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be clear, the mask mandate isn't gone.
Yeah.
It's still, but bars can just be open longer. Restaurants can be open longer. You can have more people in there.
Yeah.
Put your freaking mask on and go to work, guys.
Yep. That's why you were elected,
Yeah. If I have to wear my mask, I'm starting student teaching tomorrow. If I have to wear my mask in that school all day, you can sure as heck sit your butt down in the legislature and get to work wearing your mask.
They've been doing meetings. They've been doing committee meetings over Zoom. It's like you're telling me you can't freaking propose bills and do it over.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, freaking dumb. Okay, let's go back to this. The UW study in that article regarding, Wyomingites are more in favor of legalizing weed.
Yep.
The study's misleading because there's only 600 respondents. The questions were really stupid, like the one about if you were caught, with it, should you be put in jail? And it's like, well, that's subjective. Like,
how many of you smoke weed? Let's start with that.
Yeah, let's do that. And then do you know somebody that smokes? And then, go for, anyways, it's like, again, these studies are ridiculously done. Yeah. And again, 600, it's like, you'd probably get my attention if it was 2,000-3,000 respondents.
Yeah.
Now you're like, oh, okay.
Yep. It was conducted basically through the month of October. 614 respondents. And let's see. It says men and women from all age groups and all counties. Let me see if there's a map, because I think did we look at something like this?
No, it was that energy one, remember?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to see if there's a map. Okay, based off of counties. This is just the weighted and unweighted distribution of respondents by county. So we are in Sheridan County, 5% based off the entire state. Is that what I'm seeing? Anyway, that's confusing. But age range.
It's definitely.
It actually looks pretty even across the board for age.
Mm-hmm.
More males than females, but not by a lot. It doesn't look like. So
I would assume males would probably respond to a survey more than female. I don't know. That's just
possibly.
That's just my guess. If you're giving me something free for doing a survey, I'm probably going to do it.
Right. But yeah, like you said, I mean, 600 people is hardly a fraction. I mean, especially when, look at some of these. That's the respondents per county. I mean, Laramie and Natrona have the most responses.
Yep,
what a surprise.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Interesting. I think let's talk about it though from when we were talking about it local.
Yeah.
So the big thing that people are going to be pushing about legalizing marijuana here is we are surrounded by states that have recently, South Dakota and Montana have recently passed it.
Yep.
I do want to make note that those two states, it's going to take about a year, and I've heard Montana might take 2 years to get it, which isn't unheard of. It took Colorado 2 years to kind of get it figured out.
Sure.
So. And Zach, you and I have talked about this before. We were kind of the trendsetters on this topic. It's okay to maybe wait and sit and see how these, I'm curious to see how Kristi Noem, how does South Dakota handle it?
Yep.
She's done a great job through 2020. It's like, I'd like to just watch what she does for 6 months with it or a year, maybe see what happens to Montana. Just there's no problem with waiting and letting it play out around you. Like Colorado, yes, they got a lot of tax revenue, and I think they set that up very well. But another thing that they're having issues with, we talked about, is homelessness, and then the underage, has increased.
Yep.
which we talked about. I think education's big number one, but
Yeah.
so it's like, how do you know, we need to look at Colorado and be like, okay, what are some ways to prevent that, you know, both those two things while maybe getting, because, you know, what the people are going to say is tax revenue, tax revenue, tax revenue.
Right.
It's like, okay, that sounds great, but there's obviously side effects in Colorado.
Right. We need to weigh those.
Yeah. We need to think about those. I think too, like hemp's only 2 years in, and it's like, we need to look at how that's going.
Right. That needs, I think that needs reformed a little bit.
Absolutely. Well, shoot, people are getting freaking pulled over and arrested by the highway patrol. And then the judge is like, guys, there's not even THC in this. Like, get with the times. We passed this. Like, you just wasted everybody's time on this hemp thing. So, I think sometimes going slow is okay. And then
well, and I think going off of that, we're able to see, we can pick and choose which parts of those we like. You know, what worked for Montana, what worked for South Dakota, what worked for Colorado. Okay, sure. Let's incorporate those into some sort of plan. You know,
and there's some other point. There's other. I mean, it doesn't have to just be our neighbors. I mean, a lot of Midwest states and Southern states passed it too. Not that I want to see us follow like Oregon and California, but who knows? Maybe
those are definitely good examples of what maybe not to do. Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to know, don't do that.
Stay way away from that.
Yeah. So anyways, we'll keep an eye on that. That's kind of fascinating.
This is good. We should link this or
the study.
Yeah. Oh no.
I don't know, people. I don't know if anyone looked at the renewable one. Because
I don't know either. But
we said the same thing. It's like it was only 600 respondents. The graphs and stuff are stupid.
Yeah.
And then of course people take that study and they're like, oh, whatever. I don't know.
Well, it's there if they want.
Maybe we should. God, we should. We will.
Go look. Maybe if you disagree with us, go look and see for yourself.
Well, you got to be really good at reading a graph. I can tell you that because they make terrible. Anyways, talk about this this article from Cowboy State Daily contesting the electoral the election results.
So I mean, this is big among the GOP right now, who it's almost kind of a witch hunt, you know, who's contesting, who's, you know, agreeing to contest it, or, you know, who's not, but you know, who's the true conservatives. And I think it goes back a little bit to, you know, when we were talking about the state GOP leading up to the election, who's conforming to the party lines, basically. But some in the Wyoming Republican Party, they're praising U.S. senators who are willing to contest the results. So we applaud those U.S. senators and representatives willing to stand against election fraud and object to certification of the ill-gotten swing states electoral college votes on January 6th. So there's going to be some big stuff going down on January 6th.
We'll have some good stuff on Thursday, for sure.
But, you know, they, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Here.
I don't believe any of our senators or Congress, I don't think Cheney has.
So it says the GOP has encouraged Wyoming residents to call on their congressional delegates. So that would be Cynthia Lummis now, John Barrasso, and Liz Cheney, to request that they contest the vote. But again, I don't think they've openly come out and done that. And I think even Mark Gordon, did he congratulate Joe Biden? I don't know. There was something where the Biden party reached out to him, though.
They reached out to him for a position or recommendations for positions.
Okay.
But he has not, I will say he has not formally congratulated him, but
so I think, you know, that's basically just the story, is that there are some members within the party who are praising members of other states. I think they list here a representative from Missouri, and one from Alabama who have contested the results. January 6th is going to be a very, very interesting day.
You know, my take is, if like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Arizona, or no, Nevada, I guess was the other big one. I think those three, the courts there have said there wasn't enough, you know, to warrant further investigation. And I think we said this before the end of the year. You know, I will have faith in that system, that that judiciary system is unbiased in checking the other branches of government, and they did their due diligence and said, okay, and I'll believe that.
Right.
I think the big one for us is Georgia, and I think there's a lot over there at stake, and I think there's a lot more evidence, obviously, because they went for a full on run election or whatever that's called, where it's a revote or something, whatever.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So that's my take. I'm not going to be a big old tin cone head and say,
Right.
it was voter fraud everywhere. I do think the mail-in thing, I don't understand how people are like, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And how you don't see that this pandemic pushed for more mail-in voting.
Right.
If you don't see that and see how that can be an issue,
Right.
I'm concerned, because it's like, look, like you absentee validated, like I get it, like you got to do that.
Yep.
But if you're ignoring the facts of there was more mail-in voting, and some of these states don't have, like Wyoming,
Right.
like how we have it, anyways, I can't convince you because you're just going to disagree with me. But like, that's what I mean. Like, so it's like, we need to change those things. Like, I'm not going to say like there's a full on million votes that just appeared.
Right.
I mean, come on, like the judiciary system would see that, right?
Right.
You would hope.
You'd hope. Yeah.
That's what I'm faithful for, is that the judiciary system's not corrupt enough to just let that happen. So
I am curious. I've kind of just kept my nose out of it since.
I agree.
I've seen the tweets, the Donald Trump tweets.
Yep.
I am interested to see what evidence they're going to show. They claim they have some bombshell evidence that they're going to announce January 6th. I'm curious to see what it is. But again, I think.
Well, they had some on Hunter Biden, and that disappeared. So
right, yeah.
And don't freaking come after me and say he didn't, because he, like, how is he, like, come on.
Yeah.
Now anyways, we're getting into stuff we shouldn't be getting into. But I'll say this: no one has come. ATF has not come to try and take my guns.
Yep.
Right. So this whole like Red Scare, communism everywhere with Joe Biden. It's like, well, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So, which is kind of like what we said in 16 of like, did you die yet from Trump?
From
like,
Trump. Yeah,
no.
exactly.
So there's things, lo and behold, there are things in place that,
right.
Anyways, 3 branches of government. Talk about this. Yeah. I think I saw this rescue story. Pretty cool.
Yeah. It's crazy. So it's a little bit, good. Take a break from the politics. So Sublette County, Sublette County Sheriff's Office and Tip Top Search and Rescue Team announced on Tuesday, this is back on December 29th, they rescued a person and 2 dogs from icy water over the weekend. So around 10 p.m. on Sunday, a call came into Sublette County Dispatch about a truck in the Green River near Reardon Draw. Deputies and other medical personnel responded, and let's see, there was the vehicle was partially submerged in icy water with the driver still in it. So volunteers and search and rescue trained in this kind of situation responded with their gear. They were able to pull him and his 2 dogs out. I guess it took several attempts to try and get the dogs to kind of relax and be able to be handled to be taken out. But so I mean, they were pulled out and they were rescued. So that's awesome. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It doesn't say what caused the accident. If he just it looks pretty icy and snowy, so it might have just been
lost control,
poor roads. Yeah.
Yep.
It does look like a tire blew up, but that's probably from going off the side of the road and probably catching a guardrail or something. But anyway, yeah, so that's awesome. They were able to rescue him and keep the dog safe. That's important too.
Yeah. No, yeah. Saved everybody. That's awesome. That's first responders.
Yes.
Real heroes there.
Right.
Well, that's all we got for this first round of state news. Like we've been saying, I imagine after the 6th, we're going to have some stuff lay down, and not just from the state level, but probably some national stuff too. But that's your state news. And welcome back to another episode of Go Be Wyoming. This is our energy and ag segment, Zach.
Nice.
And I do want to jump right into it. We said it in our intro before the music. We interviewed Mike and Maren Bingle Davis. They are two geologists out of Casper. I just want to reflect on it, Zach. What a great interview.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Super informational.
Yeah.
Learned so much about Mike's experience with uranium, and both of their experience, him and his wife Maren, in rare earth materials.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to see. We don't realize how much of those things are being used in everyday kind of production, whether it's our cell phones or TVs, whatever it is. Those resources can be found here in Wyoming.
Yep. Well, and just and they brought, I don't know, just go listen to it, because they brought up a lot of great points that we've never thought about and that needs to be discussed. And a lot of it does relate back to energy, but really they're kind of some big overall topics that are like educate yourself on.
Yeah, definitely.
So just some quick some fact stuff here to start the new year. The rig count in December stayed steady. It was 4. Nice. We're probably going to see that for the next couple months until it warms up. Yep. This was big news in December. This was probably either right before Christmas or after Christmas, but the BLM, Bureau of Land Management, did approve that big 5,000 well project in Converse County. Nice. So that's awesome. That's great news. Remember, we talked about it. There's 5 big players that are involved. So that's bringing jobs back here. Yep. So that's great. That's great news. We get on the governor a lot. He did a good job pushing on the BLM here before the end of the year, telling them pretty much, you guys have been sitting on this. Yep. You need to make a decision. Right. And so the BLM made a decision, and we have this project that will be coming through. So that's great.
Sure. Yeah. That's super good news.
Yeah.
That's what we like to see.
Yep. So. No, absolutely. And on that same note, we talked about this in our local news. Here in Sheridan, the Swaim Road, by Sheridan Solar and SunSource, they are looking to do a solar panel project here, or a facility, I should say. However, recently in a committee, there will be a bill proposed in the legislative session to cancel the 3-year tax exemption that wind and solar get in the state of Wyoming. So what that would mean is any facility. So I guess as it sits right now, for anybody that doesn't know, if Zach and I went and built a solar farm, we're selling the power, we would be exempt to pay taxes for 3 years. Okay. Which is pretty nice. I don't have to pay taxes on anything for 3 years.
Right.
This bill would say no, oil and gas and coal and everybody else has to pay the taxes. So we're taking that away. Yeah. Which is, I think we should have done this long ago anyways, because it levels the playing field. Second, I think this is being done obviously for revenue. We need to generate some sort of revenue from these projects. Yeah. Anyways, Zach, what's your take on that?
Sorry, I'm trying to pull it up here. I knew I sent it to you on something, but I wasn't sure which. So.
Oh, you're good. No, you're good. Good.
Oil City News is where it was.
Where it was. Gotcha.
Yeah, I think, we've talked about it. It's not... It's huge, and we've talked about kind of a level playing field too. Which one is going to take over, and letting the market kind of decide these things. And while this status is still there, this subsidy, obviously the market's going to choose it, right? So let's really put it to the test and see who's going to, which one's going to be more profitable, which one's more sustainable, which one is
safer and reliable.
Exactly. Yep. So, I think we're really going to see it there. It's being considered as of right now. So, there's no, kind of hard yes or no on this, but I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. No, I think overall, generate some revenue. And then, let's level the playing field and see if that, if anything happens.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of all we have, Zach. The last thing we have is there's this article from Forbes that finally mainstream media apparently wanted to, this is something the Trump administration has been touting since they left the Paris Climate Agreement, is every year since we left the Paris Climate Agreement, the U.S. has lowered their emissions.
Yep.
And now other countries are kind of like, oh yeah, weird how that works.
Right.
You become more energy independent, and you make it a commitment. Trump's administration made a commitment to lower emissions.
Yep.
And they did it.
Look at that.
And now it's some weird revelation by the UN and Forbes of like, oh, weird.
Right.
Maybe we should do that.
Yeah.
And Zach, we were just talking off air before we talked about this, is I'm a little pissed that what's going to happen is Biden will not be pressured to go into the Paris Climate Agreement, which is that was part of your platform.
Right. Yeah.
So we're just letting them off the hook.
Yeah.
So do not get hooked into these, you forgot, I don't know. It pisses me off that they think they can blindfold us and be like, oh, you forgot about this, didn't you?
You're right.
And here's the truth is some people are, and it's wow, they get you all riled up and hot and bothered.
Yeah.
And then you forget.
Right. It's the illusion, look at this hand.
Exactly. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And really it's because people just hated Trump so much. But it's he did, we lowered emissions.
Yep.
It's a fact.
Right.
The UN just said it.
Yep.
I don't trust the UN, but whatever. But
right. But people, they're dumbfounded that a national government could do this, not a global government. And people might get up in arms about me calling the UN a global government, but that's what it is. Let's face it.
It is what it is. That's what it is.
Just don't. You're not pulling the wool over my eyes on that.
Yeah.
One. You might, but anyway. And then the orange man bad thing.
Yeah.
No, Trump will never get credit for this.
No, that's what I mean. Is they will somehow say this was Biden.
Yeah.
Biden did it, which is no.
Yeah.
That if anything, the energy, and I will say Trump didn't even do it.
Right.
It was the energy industry was left alone.
Yep.
And said, hey, we need dominance, and we did it.
Yep.
And we lowered emissions on ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is duh. Capitalism works. When you just let it do its thing.
Yeah.
One thing I was thinking about this topic was Mike and Marin. I'm not going to give too much away. They talked about kind of carbon capture. Go listen to that about their take on it, because it does give you that a different perspective on carbon capture.
Yeah.
In regards to geology.
Yep.
Because it is important that it could be a 2-minute fix to a problem, but we have to consider some longer term longer term consequences, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So anyways, it's so that interview wasn't full on gun toting oil and gas. It's we got to look at the big picture.
Right.
Anyways,
it was very realist perspective on it.
Yep. Anyways, I just had that thought talking about the climate change, and we got to look at the big picture, and that's what I mean. Is don't get locked in your last 6 months, because you're gonna forget 4 years ago something happened. Anyways. That was kind of short and sweet. We'll probably throw that in with maybe state news or something.
Sure.
Anything else to add, Zach, there on energy?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Well, that's your energy update for the January 3rd. Thank you for listening to another production of Go Be Wyoming. These episodes were brought to you by Alphagraphics of Sheridan. Every business needs some form of printing services. That'd be large format, color, digital printing, as well as having a team or a partner that can help you with web design, social media marketing, direct mail, and more. Give Alphagraphics of Sheridan a call, 307-674-6277.
This episode is also brought to you by DYT Solutions, offering custom web design and digital marketing services for your company and brand. Another sponsor of today's episodes is Sheridan County Title. Sheridan County Title provides great service at a lower cost. If you have any questions on your property, or if you're looking to refinance, have Sheridan County Title help you today. Call and ask for Sasha.
This episode is also brought to you by Jess Hattervig of ERA Carroll Realty. Are you looking to buy, sell, or build a new home? Are you looking to buy a house here in Sheridan? You're going to need a local expert to help you out, especially in this crazy housing market we're having up here in Northeast Wyoming. Give Jess a call at ERA 307-672-8911. Thank you for listening, and remember, Go Be Wyoming.